First, need to make a little legal disclaimer. Trump, of course, like anybody, is innocent until proven guilty. These are my opinions under the First Amendment. I am entitled to free speech, and I am going to survey this landscape to try to figure out what is what, try to understand it better, and share information with y'all so we can have maybe more of a clear picture of how we got to this point, what's going on, and also bring into question the character of individuals surrounding this case. So with that, let's proceed. Roll tape, let's go. It's time to get into it, peeps. I've been working on this video for a while. It's been a total of like 3-4 hours almost of researching and editing. I know it might not seem like that, but there's actually these long videos. There's actually a lot of work that goes into it, and I don't get paid for it. Maybe someday I will.
Justice Department says there was no incriminating client list.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
There was an orgy going on, and I was 13.
Anybody think that it's coincidence that the Epstein files are not being talked about since Charlie died? Not just a distraction, but like literally they're not even talking about it. And Trump actually called it a hoax when from the beginning he was telling Pam Bondi to release it. He was saying, yeah, we're
sitting on my desk right now to review.
Bondi now clarifying that statement, saying taken out of context.
My response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK ML.
And by the way, the JFK, MLK, RFK files, whatever happened to that? Did that get released? Yeah, I thought so. Oh, and by the way, Trump said in 2015 when he was talking about running for president and he got elected in 2016, he was talking about launching another 9/11 commission, saying we should look into that. As soon as he got voted in the White House. Never mentioned that ever again. If you guys believe anything this man says, you're sorely mistaken and you're being misled. And I say that with love because I love y'all. And that's why I'm trying to give y'all the truth. I got no skin in the game. I'm just trying to tell y'all. I hate these actors, these bad actors, these people that are just dividing the country and ultimately giving us false hopes and promises that there's going to be justice for different issues, important things, past and present, and 99% of the time it never happens, and you're just looking at it and you're going to see a whole bunch of that. 1-49 to table the amendment by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer that would have forced the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. The vote tabled the amendment, meaning the measure to release the files failed. There it is. And break it down so that you guys don't have to sit here for 2-3 hours, and I can try to condense this into... I'm making this video for one reason. It's because a lot of people who voted for this man don't really know what he's all about. And even if you think you do, you don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes. And the fact is, his checkered past shows a lot of shady stuff.
He had come into the casino in the wee hours of Sunday morning, 1:30 in the morning. Two buddies. They had 3 women with them, and the commission was waiting for me because they had determined that the women that they brought down were underage to be on the casino. And when I asked them how they knew that, by the way, one of them was the number 3 ranked tennis player in the world. Okay. And this guy happened to be a tennis fan. And he said, Jack, I know she's 19 years old.
I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. Right, I want to make sure that
like
everything is good. You're there. Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things.
So it's worth noting that in 2002, the comment that Trump had made about Epstein, saying, "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. He even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeff enjoys his social life." So that comment, they keep trying to repackage this. Everything I have searched high and low, okay? It is not on YouTube anymore. I'm telling you guys, in 2020, it was 2019, it might have been 2020, I saw that video. And it was, I want to say that it was at like a Miss America pageant. I want to say that it might have been at a nightclub. It's very, very similar to what it talks about here in 1992 at a party at Mar-a-Lago. It says the footage captures Trump pointing out women, and Epstein calling them hot, and then he's pointing to women on the dance floor. Okay. Looked to be pretty close to me, man. I mean, this video speaks for itself. This guy, dude. Wow. Listen, I've had nothing against the guy, man. But now the fact that he's called the Epstein list a hoax, and there's been hundreds or possibly thousands of women that were children at the time, teenagers, not just R word. You guys know what that is, and being violated, but sold as sex slaves and children and women. The fact that Trump has called it a hoax now, when from the beginning he was saying he was going to drain the swamp. Epstein thing came out. He was saying, yes, I'm going to release the files. Talked to Pan Bondi. We saw the press conferences, releases where he was like, yes, we're going to release it. And then he goes to calling it a hoax. So the guy obviously has a guilty conscience, whether he's covering his own butt or whether he's covering for other people or whether it's both. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But let me show you guys a couple things here, man. This is just pay attention, okay? Pay attention.
On Mar-a-Lago, you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein poached 2 of your staffers. Who were they?
Yeah, I don't want to say 2, or I don't want to say any number you're talking about many years ago. But yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. They work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like where they...
Let's stop right there. Once he did that, that was the end of him. Now,
Administration pushing back against calls to fire Attorney General Pam Bondi over her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
A Justice Department report this week revealed the accused sex trafficker did not keep a secret so-called client list, seemingly contradicting Bondi's statement earlier this year that she had Epstein's list in her office.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Bondi now clarifying that statement, saying she was taken out of context.
My response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well.
liar. Wow. These people, oh my gosh. Y'all see what's going on, dude. Wow. Some of the worst and best actors are not in Hollywood. They're in Washington, D.C. And here it is.
The Justice Department report also confirming Epstein died by suicide. Investigators saying the conclusion that Epstein died by suicide is further supported by video footage from where Epstein was housed. But some critics...
No, it's not. And there's the video footage. Do you guys remember they said there was no video footage because they said that the camera systems failed or malfunctioned, and the two COs, correctional officers, had fell asleep during that time. And then this past year in 2025, they released this video, what you're seeing right here. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got an hour of the video. But then it doesn't show the critical minute of like where allegedly Epstein was, self-deleted. And I say allegedly because, I mean, do we really believe he self-deleted? I mean, does anybody really believe that? Some people believe he's still alive. I think anything is possible. But I'm going to say that I definitely don't think he took his own life. I think that my opinion is it seems more like somebody took him out because this guy had a lot of information to incriminate a lot of people. He was a liability and straight up organized hit. Does anyone think it's weird, by the way, that they said there was no camera footage all this time for years now? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, we found it. Here it is. Oh, but by the way, it doesn't have this, that minute. Does anyone believe this be it? Wow. Now you guys see why I'm making this video? Trust me, it gets better, guys. I got a lot more for you.
Raising questions about that footage, pointing to a jump in the timestamp from 11:58:59 to midnight. Bondi, when asked about the missing minute, said the videotape glitch happens every night and is not a sign of tampering. Still, some Trump loyalists not happy with these explanations.
Really? You have a secure facility like this and there's a minute glitch in a time? Really? Wow. I'm sure that's... Who's in charge of that? Really? Does anyone know? Does your local bank have a minute jump? Does the Federal Reserve? Does the CIA? Does the Pentagon have a minute jump in their camera system? Come on, dude. You can pee on my boots and tell me that it's raining, but I know it's not raining. It's oh God, the lies continue. Let's keep rolling.
The only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story.
Elon Musk also critical, posting, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files?
Epstein arrested under Trump's watch, then self-deleted, and then covered up under Trump's watch. Cover up. So that doesn't make him look good. All that happened under his watch. People can say, "Oh, well, that has nothing to do with him." Okay, maybe it doesn't. Okay, doesn't look good. Keep listening.
Real people, I don't like it.
Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. Just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them
young women?
Let's stop it right there for real quick. The reporter asked him, were some of the employees that Jeffrey Epstein took, were some of them young women? Now, watch this. I'm going to pause in a second again. Watch.
I don't want to say, but...
Okay, stop right there. Now, watch. This is where he contradicts himself in one paragraph. He says, well, I don't want to say, but...
Everyone knows the people that were taken, and it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad, but that story's been pretty well out there, and the answer is yes, they were.
Boom, stop right there. Busted. Contradicting yourself within one paragraph. Well, I don't want to say, and but the concept of blah, 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 blah. But the answer is yes. Which is it? Is it no, you're not sure? Is it yes, you're sure? So here's an example of where he's such a bad liar. I mean, being a good liar is not a good thing either, but here is an example of him contradicting himself in one paragraph right there. It kills his credibility completely. Not that the guy has much credibility to begin with, but let's continue.
Yes, they were young.
Yeah.
What did they do?
In the spa.
Jobs. In the spa.
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world in Mar-a-Lago.
One of the best spas in the world, and I'm sure he would know a lot about those fancy spas.
One of those stolen, persons that include Virginia,
Stop right here. Look at his body language. He's not just leaning forward so he can hear. Obviously, it's loud. He's on the plane. But look at his body language, right? The body language right here says, I'm acting like I'm listening. I'm dreading the next question. I'm forcing myself for appearance sake to act like I'm being transparent and answer these questions, but I hate these questions because, wow, these people are exposing me, even as I present myself to be honest and transparent. He hates this. And the reason he hates it is because I believe, based on his actions and his track record, he has a lot to hide.
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa.
Again, contradicting himself in one sentence, right? Asking him about, was so-and-so a girl that worked there? I don't know. Oh yeah, she's somebody that worked at the spa. Well, which is it? You don't know where she worked at the spa. Apparently you do know she worked at the spa. This is, okay. Let's move on to another.
On July 15th, Trump was asked why his administration has not released as many files as promised.
These files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden,
This is false. The files are real. The Justice Department has said there's over 300 gigabytes of records and other evidence related to its investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. Many of those documents have already been released. Secondly, those investigations did not occur under Comey, Biden, or Obama. The FBI first investigated Jeffrey Epstein in 2006 and reached a plea deal with him a year later. The president then was George W. Bush. Then in 2019, the Justice Department began investigating Epstein's plea deal. The president during that was Donald J. Trump. So there's no evidence that Comey, Biden, or Obama, quote unquote, made up the files. Trump was asked again on July 25th about his administration's handling of the Epstein files. Here's what he said.
You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times.
This lacks evidence. In Clinton's case, there are two people who say he's visited the island one time. Clinton has denied that, and there's no evidence beyond that. Trump is most likely referring to flight logs. The records show that Clinton traveled on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane more than 24 times, but the logs do not show that he visited the island. It's also worth noting that Trump himself appears in these logs. The records show that he traveled at least 8 times on Epstein's private plane. In July, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had sent Jeffrey Epstein a birthday note in the early 2000s with a crude drawing of a woman. Trump denied that on social media. Here's what he said. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. This is false. After Trump made his social media post, the New York Times and other outlets reported on the many drawings that Trump has submitted over the years to charities. He drew pictures of buildings and the New York skyline. A few days later, Trump admitted that he did in fact draw sometimes, but he said he doesn't draw women.
Sometimes he would say, would you draw a building and I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity stuff. I don't do drawings of women. That I can tell you.
There is no evidence that Trump was involved in any of Epstein's illegal activities, but he continues to deny, deflect, and make false statements.
Great emotion. She actually indicated that she loved it. Okay? She loved it until commercial break. In fact, I think she said it was sexy, didn't she? It was very sexy to be raped. Didn't she say that?
So, sir, I just want to confirm. It's your testimony that E. Jean Carroll said that she loved being sexually assaulted by you?
Well, based on she. It was very sexy to be raped. Didn't she say that?
So, sir, I just want to confirm. It's your testimony that E. Jean Carroll said that she loved being sexually assaulted by you?
Well, based on her interview with Anderson Cooper, I believe that's what took place.
The pussy, you could do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, if you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
I was 13. The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job.
She had been lured to the party through a recruiter named Tiffany.
There was, maybe a couple girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young. So, and as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him he seemed to take a liking to me because I was so young, and I was also a virgin. He approached me about a rape scene that was supposed to be played out, and I didn't like the sound of that at all. I mean, it just didn't seem like a fantasy, and I started to get scared, and he was basically like ripping my clothes off, and I was actually I got freaked out. I told him that I didn't want to do this. I was I screamed over for Tiffany, and she was like, Mr. Trump, and she's only this is scaring her. And he's like, oh, you shut up too. He just turned into this animal. It was like a completely different person. It was like everyone in the room was scared of him. He ripped off all my clothes, and he started to basically have sex with me, and I was screaming because I'd never had sex before. It was my first time, and Tiffany was yelling at him too. She was saying that I was a virgin, and he told us to just shut the fuck up, and just basically took my virginity while I was crying and telling him to stop. And that's basically begging for him to just stop.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Straight up, Jeff is asked, you and Trump ever been with girls under 18? He's like, I'd like to answer that, but yeah, I plead the 5th Amendment. Not trying to incriminate himself. He wasn't trying to answer that on camera, but he knows the truth.
Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. They were very close.
A lot of people think he's not releasing the files because he's in them.
There's more. Pay attention. Listen up.
Covered in today's indictment. The president said this, quote, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it.
Democrat hoax that never ends.
Donald Trump is the Hugh Hefner of the 90s. In the 1990s, Donald Trump was building a reputation for himself as a ladies' man.
For an older person, he's very attractive.
He may be the most eligible bachelor in America. Please welcome Donald Trump.
Gone were the days when he was known primarily as the real estate mogul of New York.
Remember the 80s? The yuppies, the buyouts, the junk bonds, and especially the Donald.
The man who was the darling of the 80s is seen in the 90s as a man in trouble, and he knows it.
The drama started when Donald began cheating on his wife, Ivana Trump, with aspiring actress Marla Maples. After an ugly public falling out, Donald and Ivana divorced in 1992, with some reports that Ivana got millions from the split.
Donald Trump's former or current girlfriend, depending on what day it is sharing all her secrets for staying in shape.
Donald eventually married Marla 2 months after she gave birth to a baby girl. But by the end of the decade, Trump was single again, and he seemed to enjoy the dating scene.
The reputation of Donald Trump, the man who dates a different woman every year.
I don't do that. I mean, I've been with a number of women, but it's been over a fairly long period of time. I've had great relationships with women.
If you could have your choice, who would be the one person you'd date
Wow.
Or who are the three most beautiful women in the world?
Well, how about Lady Di? That would be an interesting one. She's going to be available.
What kind of women do you
choice.
like?
I think my choice might be you. Look at the legs on her. Boy. Good for you.
Cringe moment.
Can you imagine how controversial I'd be? You think about Clinton with the women. How about me with the women? Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, I think there is a certain controversy to me.
Okay, guys, so let's start here, okay? First of all, let's look at Trump's track record. Now, obviously, we don't know the total number of women that Trump has had affairs with, but here's some things that we do know, okay? Ivana Trump, Trump's affair with actress Maria Maples, became public in 1989 and led to his 1992 divorce from his first wife, Ivana. Highly publicized nature with the affair was a major source of tabloid news. Marla Maples, while married to Marla Maples, Trump reportedly had an affair with Melania, whom later he married again. Seeing a pattern here, has affairs with women and then marries them. Okay. So Melania Trump, more recently, Trump's alleged affairs while married to Melania have been reported with Stormy Daniels. I'm sure you guys all heard about that. 2018 it was widely reported Trump also had an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2006. Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, admitted to paying Daniels $130,000 in hush money to prevent her from speaking publicly about the affair. Then you have Karen McDougal. The Wall Street Journal also reported that Trump had an affair with former Playboy model Karen, who was also reportedly paid a sum of $150,000 by the National Enquirer's publisher to suppress her story. So I asked Google, what's the total number of affairs that Trump has had, right? And so here's what it says, right? It says, obviously, the precise total number is impossible to confirm for several reasons. But let's scroll down here. Let's skip a little bit here. Obviously, there's been people that have come forward with contradictory claims, whatever, right? There's sometimes, people trying to get a payday, whatever. But check this out. I thought this was very interesting right here. Self-proclaimed discretion, as cited in the court post referencing his book, The Art of the Comeback, Trump once stated, quote, "If I told you the real stories of my experiences with women, this book would be a guaranteed bestseller." So it's a pretty striking comment, to say the least. That's very incriminating.
No, I do not know, for instance, that these photographs were in the safe when the FBI raided Jeffrey Epstein's house in July of 2019. Is it reasonable that they might have been? Absolutely. I mean, on several occasions, we discuss where he kept those photographs in the safe. And that was the question that Senator Whitehouse was asking Pam Bondi. Do you know about these pictures? Have you seen these pictures? What is the status of this? Just trying to get information. And the question that she refused to answer. And this question has also been asked by the Oversight Committee of Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, and he too refused to answer.
It's a Democrat hoax that never ends.
Taxes, etc. Okay. Well, Congress just got shut down. The Republicans just shut down the United States House of Representatives for 2 months in order to avoid having to vote on Donald Trump blocking the Epstein files. So even if you don't give a about the news story or the sensationalism of it, this now affects you. Because one of your branches of government is not operational between now and September. because Speaker Mike Johnson and the Republicans would rather shut that branch of government down than let the Epstein files come out. Let that sink in. It's also another.
Let that sink in. So let's go ahead and let's backtrack here. Okay. So you got July, August, September. Okay. Now we're in October. I look around the system on the local city level. I look at how corrupted most of our police departments have become. I see so many of our governors and mayors that have been corrupted. And then to see all the way to the White House and this corruption that I see now surrounding the Epstein files, it happens to coincide with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I don't know about you guys, but I'm connecting the dots, guys, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for them. It looks really, really bad. Now, either it is what it looks like or it's not. What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. There's more.
He needed to bring in 1,000 FBI agents to work on redacting his name
What?
out of them.
Wow.
And that is a whole lot
crazy.
of FBI agents. I mean, how many times does your name need to appear in the files that you need 1,000 people redacting them? Well, no matter how much they try to hide it, Epstein and Trump, they're birds of a feather.
I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited.
It comes to a point in life, ladies and gentlemen, where you have to see people for who they are. Whether you voted for the guy or not, people make mistakes. Listen, there's friends that I had that I thought were friends and people I knew that I thought were what I thought they were. Some people are not what you think they are.
We've been wanted to just take stock of where things stand. The Trump administration came in promising radical transparency on Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the fact is the Epstein files are being suppressed, and the administration is obstructing oversight from the Congress. The president's story about his relationship with Epstein changes by the day, and that's true of his administration as well. His personal lawyer went to talk to Ms. Maxwell, and who knows what was said in that conversation. What we do know is Maxwell has been moved, Epstein's partner in crime, to a minimum security prison without giving any good reason as to why a child sex trafficker deserves that additional comfort. House Republicans seem no longer interested in having Maxwell testify. Yesterday, it was reported that a member of Donald Trump's inner circle gave a high-paying job to another close Epstein associate, a man named Mr. Indike. That sounds, Mr. President, about as bizarre and wrong as you can get. My colleagues and I believe it's a big mistake for the Senate to go out of session without making real progress on real transparency on the Epstein issue. There are a number of ways you can do that. So let me say a little bit about our investigation, which began 3.5 years ago, Mr. President. So it's been looked at by Democrats and Republicans from the outset. It's been built on the fact that you've got to follow the money to be at the core of this global sex trafficking operation, which, on the basis of what we have seen, has been funded lavishly. We began by examining the financial ties between Mr. Epstein and a Wall Street titan named Leon Black. We found that Black paid Epstein $170 million over just a couple of years. He said it was, quote, for tax and estate planning. The central claim, though, was what's noteworthy, Mr. President. The claim was that Mr. Epstein was a financial wizard, some superstar in terms of looking at taxes and estates, and he could perform accounting miracles. It appears this kind of work for Black and others was one of Mr. Epstein's biggest sources of income. Now here's the catch. Epstein wasn't an accountant or a tax attorney at all. And Leon Black, who's extraordinarily well off, already employed the best tax advisors in the business. He didn't need Mr. Epstein to handle his money. Black's lawyers even told our investigators, and let me just keep it brief, that Epstein's work wasn't very impressive. He made mistakes and his work needed to be double-checked by people who were actually tax experts. So Mr. Black was paying Mr. Epstein more than double the income of the average Fortune 500 CEO. And Mr. Black wasn't the only one paying Mr. Epstein top dollar for this so-called financial advice. That's where we've got to go to follow the money. Last year, my investigators went to the Treasury Department and reviewed thousands of bank documents related to Mr. Epstein's financing. We've spoken at length about those documents here on the Senate floor. It's a whole set of Epstein files in the possession of the Treasury Department, above and beyond the files in the possession of the Department of Justice. So that's a key point, Mr. President. You've got to look, if you're going to follow the money, at the Treasury Department, not just at the Department of Justice. We've been trying to get those documents. The Trump administration's been blocking us. We've demanded answers from the new head of the IRS about why its criminal investigators didn't look into Epstein's work for Leon Black or whether they did any.
Let's stop right there for a brief moment. Now ask yourself this. Trump is saying that he was going to release it. Now he's calling it a hoax. So for whatever reason, he switched gears. But here's the thing. Why would Trump be trying to stifle the investigation? Right? If he doesn't want anything to do with it, then why would he be trying to stop other people, especially when they're trying to get treasury records, financial documents to follow the money? Well, the answer is obvious. Obviously, they don't want them to find the money, because the more money trail that they find, the deeper the investigation goes, the more questions that are asked, the more answers that implicate lots of individuals that apparently it seems that Trump is covering for, and that's the reason why he buried this whole thing, and the Senate buried the Epstein files, completely stifling any further investigation because of the simple fact that it implicates a lot of people that Trump is connected to. And the question remains, is we have to ask, does it implicate him? Does it implicate him? Is he involved? And if he is, to what extent? Those are the questions. I'm not saying anything. I'm not making claims. I'm simply thinking critically and asking logical questions.
The investigation of Epstein at all. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars paid by ultra-wealthy individuals to a known sex trafficker for the purpose of dodging billions in taxes. It is unthinkable that those transactions were never audited or investigated. A deep dive on this, starting with the IRS criminal investigations operation, could have blown the lid off Epstein's cover story about being a financial genius quite some time ago. It could have helped uncover the financing behind these horrific crimes. One last point in terms of an update. There are all kinds of pundits out there chattering about whether this is the right political issue to focus on. My message is blunt, Mr. President. This is not about politics. This is not about Democrats and Republicans. So I just want to make it clear, this is about whether there's going to be justice for the victims of a notorious sex trafficker who did not abuse these women and girls alone. This is about whether there's going to be accountability for the people who enabled and participated in Epstein's crimes. The question really is, as I close, who is the government looking out for? The rich and powerful, even those who do horrible things, or the powerless, the victims of abuse who've been neglected for too long? Donald Trump wants this to go away without any accountability. And for him, that might be about self-preservation. But it's...
And end point. 100%. So I asked the question, is he looking out for all those other people involved, or is he looking out for himself, self-preservation? my personal opinion, under the First Amendment, God bless America, freedom of speech, I think that it's both. I think Trump is looking out for those people that violated women and children. And I think that he is also covering his own butt as well. I think it's both.
You are not allowed to dismiss my questions as a United States citizen with a wave of the hand and an attack on my character. You get the middle finger in the face from me for doing that until you stop doing it. So I think we have an absolute right to demand sensible answers. And the first question is, who the hell was Jeffrey Epstein working for? Why did Leon Black pay him $100 and something million for tax advice? Don't stop lying to me.
I never had the privilege of going to his island. I never had the privilege of going to his island. I never had the privilege.
Thank you for staying to the end of this video. Please subscribe, hit the bell, like, share, and drop a comment. Now you see some examples of what this guy's been involved in, what he's been accused of, giving you some insight into his real character. You can make up your mind and decide for yourself whether or not what you think is true or not, but there's a long trail of very, very incriminating evidence and accusations. And now you know. So real talk, one of the main reasons that I'm doing this video, I can tell you, is number one, I hate the fact that government has become so corrupt, especially since I've been paying attention in the last 25 years since the towers went down. For me, that was kind of the breaking point where I thought to myself, okay, I can't keep my head in the sand. I can't stay silent anymore. I have to speak up. The second thing is that Trump said he was going to release these files. He said he was going to release the files, guys. He did. He campaigned on transparency. Number one, yo. So whether you voted for the guy or not, that's irrelevant at this point. And I'm going to explain to you real quick why it's irrelevant. Because the fact is, he's still disingenuous and he's still lying about so many things. And this is just one. This is just one, guys. I'm not one of these Trump haters who's out here like, oh, Trump is a Nazi and Trump is a... No, I'm not that guy, guys. I'm not the guy. I'm the guy who's coming with logic that's talking about just one specific issue. Right now, Epstein issue. The list is real. You have hundreds of women that have been violated in our word. Our word, right? Violated, right? Sexually violated, right? They don't like when you say certain words like self-deleted. When some self-deleted themselves, or someone raped me, they don't like the when you say that stuff, right? So what happens is it ends up, I don't, the content, I don't want to be limited to exposure. I want the exposure is very important. It's very, 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 very important that this video get out and that people understand what's going on. The main reason that I really wanted to make this video, beyond the fact that I hate the fact that the government is just constantly covering up stuff, and the fact that he said he was going to be transparent about this issue and he's not, and then you see his history of how close he was with Epstein for the longest time, right? At least 15 or 20 years that we know of, right? At least 15, whatever, right? So Do you any of you know a woman who's been violated? Real talk. Do any of you know? Have any of you been violated? Have any of you been in a situation? Hi, honey. It's my kitty. She's ready for dinner. Any of you know someone who's been violated? A friend or a family member? Well, I do. I've had women I've known in relationships that have been violated when they were children, when they were in high school, whatever the age. My first love was violated when she was 16, 17, by her ex-boyfriend, actually, someone who knew her. That was my first love. And recently, as you guys know, for those of you that haven't seen my videos and you're not familiar with, the new love of my life died 6 months ago on April 30th, 2025, suddenly and tragically. She also struggled with depression. She also struggled with PTSD. She was also violated by a man when she was 16 years old in high school that traumatized her right up into the ripe age of 39 until she passed on from this life, to say it mildly. The night before she passed away, she was crying in my arms. Telling me to just hold her. She said, just hold me. Just hold me. So, understand, guys, this is way bigger than me. I don't do this for notoriety. I could give a damn about clicks and likes. Like, I want to grow the channel, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to stand for what's right, regardless. I have friends, family, people who I know who have been violated when they were young as children or as young adults, whether it was teenagers or adults. And the fact remains is that people that I know, that I was close to, that I have been close to, and still am close to, this has affected them their entire lives. This has been a huge issue of something that has affected them in a way that you can't imagine. And the ones who have been affected by this, you already know. But the people who don't understand, it's trauma. It's straight up trauma that you carry through your whole life. And there was some things, some abuse that I dealt with when I was younger. And I'm gonna tell y'all like this, like, this needs to be exposed. It's the fact that this list was buried by the Senate, and this administration buried that list also when they said they were going to be transparent. It's not just like, imagine if you were covering for one of your friends who violated a woman, right? That's messed up, right? If you knew somebody, if you knew a friend and your friend was like, oh yeah, I know this guy, and he was covering for him, but he knew he could expose and provide evidence that would end up leading to the prosecution of this individual, but he didn't, you'd be like, what the, really, dude? But imagine you knew of a guy who knew of hundreds or had access to a list of hundreds or maybe possibly 1,000 men, not just men, but very powerful, influential, rich, millionaire, billionaire men who had violated multiple women. So you got thousands of men violating thousands and thousands of women, and then sex slavery, child trafficking, whether some of them were paid and then the majority or percentage of them were violated and R-worded and violated. And you knew this one man who happened to be president of the United States that now is covering for not just one person who violated a woman, not just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but is covering for thousands of powerful politicians and billionaire men around the world that have violated these women. The victims are real, guys. And I know the women that I know that have been violated, it is their whole life up. Those women were never the same after that happened to them. And as an example, I've been in a couple relationships with women that because of the fact that they were violated in that way, they couldn't even have normal relationships. They were emotionally distraught and damaged from that, like forever. There needs to be justice for these women. There needs to be justice for these victims, for the children, for the women. And whether that list is ever exposed or not, that's at this point, it'll probably never happen. It's been buried. But I wanted to make this video to show y'all that this guy right now in 2025 that's in the White House, whatever you think of him, I'm just doing this to give you some insight to show you what he's involved in and the type of individuals that he's covering for that have done absolutely atrocious things to children and women. So, you stuck with me this far in the video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all. So let's stand up for the victims. Let's stand up for people that we care about, that we love. And let's remind each other that the powers that be that are covering up and covering for those that have kept those secrets in the shadows, it's time for that to be exposed.
He is charming. He is able to convince people. So he tells everybody what they want to hear.
So how do you know this? That was supposed to show you. He has a sense of humor. He can be funny.
Right. His ability to sell. It's very much like Clinton. Both Bill and Donald have the ability to go over to a fat, ugly woman. So you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
So you probably don't get a scalp reduction.
Just get the same male pattern moment that we all have. There's not anything horrible human being who has nasty things to his best friends' wives. Anyone who first tries to gain your trust and uses it to do bad things.
Videos like this and the other people who are doing the same as what I'm doing. We're trying to bring light to the things that the powers that be are trying to keep in the dark. So again, thank you sincerely for tuning in and watching this whole video. Please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment below, share your thoughts. But please like and share the video. That helps to get around the algorithm and helps to get it out, grow the channel, and also helps to get this information out there. So thanks again. I'll check y'all in the next video.
I never had the privilege of going to his island.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.